You are viewing an IBIS PH saved query instructional video on how to set up system type queries. The first thing that you do is you create a user XML file. This is a database, of course you'd create the structure in a database, but in this case I'm going to show you my local host, and I am going to use XML files for my users and for my saved query definitions. So the first thing I want to do is I want to grab an existing user rather than registering my own user. So I'll just pick one of these user files here. You'll notice I'm in WebInf XML user. You'll notice here there's a question mark here for my Tortoise SVN, and that's because you should never ever commit any user files to the repository. Never. Did I say never? Never ever. So there's a question mark there because these files are not committed to the repository. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let's just pick one of these files. I'm going to take this G1. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. And let's say that we're going to be doing some birth-related system queries. So I'm going to call this file birth, and then I'm going to have to match my ID within this file to the name of this file. So there's birth. I'm going to go ahead and edit this thing with Notepad. And you'll notice the ID is G@G, which is the file I copied. I'm just going to change that to birth to match the file name. And we'll change the password here to be B, just for fun. I'm going to leave these authorities left. I'm going to leave those authorities like that. No, let's get rid of them. I'm not going to have any of those. Maybe I'll do a query birth one, just so we can show the secure queries working. So I'm going to have that one authority. I'm going to save this file. Just got my user file saved. Let's go show that there is not a birth file over here yet. If there is, I'm going to delete it and show you how that gets defined. So in my content XML query definition, in the content I do have a birth file. I just created it because I tested this a few minutes ago. I'm going to delete this file. Now I don't have one. So I'm in my user interface. I'm not logged in as anybody. I'm going to log in as birth. And because my user file is not an email type address, it's just birth, it needs to match the ID or the name of the file, so it's just birth. My password is B. I'm going to hit login. You'll notice here that my selections, because I don't have any, that list is blank. So again, we're going to be doing some saved birth type queries and showing how these things get managed. So what I need to do is I need to go create a few queries. So I'm going to go to query datasets, birth. Let's do count first. I'm going to say count. I'm going to define, let's just pick some years. Maybe we don't want 2010. So I'll deselect that. We'll choose infant characteristics of being size at gestational age. We will choose, let's just go ahead and say we're going to group by mother's age, and we'll have a chart of a vertical bar. And I can either save this query now because I am logged in. I can save the query directly here, or I can run it first to see what it looks like. Let's go take a look at it and make sure that the query looks like what I want. So we're running this query. It comes back with the criteria that I specified, a nice vertical bar chart. The data table looks good. I'm going to say save query definition, and we'll make this easy. We'll just call this birth 1, and we'll leave the title as is. I'm going to show this description here. Descriptions probably are a good idea to copy your criteria down in there. I'm not going to copy all of it. You get the idea of what you can do here for the description. We're not going to make this private because this is a system query and we want these to be exposed and available to all users. So at this point I'm going to hit the Save Query button. It's going to take me to my list, and there's my first query definition that's been saved. Let's go create another one. So birth. Let's choose adolescent births, and we'll choose this one right here. We'll select a few years, let's say 2007, 2011. Now let's just do, we'll do some 5-year groups. We'll choose those 4, and we'll leave the geographic area as is. We'll group by, we'll display by geographic area. Yeah, let's not do a chart. We won't do a chart. And in this case, we won't submit it. We'll say save the query definition. And we'll call this one, let's call it birth 2. And the title is pretty good. And again, we'll just grab the 5-year group filter here just for some basic description. Paste that there. We'll say save, and now we'll have 2 items in our list. At this point, if we go back over to our File Explorer, XML query definition, you'll notice that we have this birth XML file that was created by the application. If we edit this file, you'll see here's our saved query definitions. Query definition with the name of birth_1, and definition, there's another definition with birth_2. Those are our 2 saved query definitions that we have in that file right now. So now what do you do? Well, let's get rid of our editor here. And let's go back to this File Explorer view. At this point, what you would want to do is you have this new system type query definition file. So what you would do is you would get this file and you would add it to the repository. So I use my Tortoise SVN. I would say add. And you'll notice this will now have a little plus sign. I will commit this file to the repository. And the reason you want to commit this file to the repository is because the next time you do a deployment, this file will now be out there so that you can use this file. And every time you, anytime anybody wants to make any additions to this file, all they have to do is have a birth user in their local environment, keep their repository content updated in their local environment, and they can go out and run queries. They can delete queries, they can add queries, they can modify and do whatever they need to do. When the file gets modified, it'll get a little red exclamation. You commit that just like you would any other content file, and you now have a manageable work product that you can use the tool to help you maintain the proper definitions. The last thing that needs to be pointed out in using a system type query definition is, well, now I have these saved query definitions, what do I do with them? Well, the easiest way to deal with saved query definitions is to go to, let's say you wanted to have the list show up on your welcome page. Okay, so what I would do is I would come in here and I'm going to look at the details on one of these query definitions. I'm going to scroll down here to the query definition sharing links, and if I want to have the basic list request, what I'll do is I'll copy this URL. Now, one thing to note here, these URLs need to be referenced with an exterior type of URL. It can't be an internal, it needs to be an external type of URL. So because of that, I have my environment set up to use the HTTP ibishealthutah.gov without any context, without any application context as a prefix. So what's going to happen for this to work in my local environment is I'm just going to have to take this last portion of this URL and put the local host in front of it. So I'm going to say copy. I'm going to go back over here to my File Explorer, and I'm going to go to my XML. I'm going to edit my welcome page. So I'm going to go HTML content. I'm going to go to my welcome page here, bring this up on my editor, and the very first thing in my content, I'm going to put a link here. So it's an anchor with an href equaling, and I can be explicit here, I can say http://localhost/ I just phview / I just pasted in that URL value. Close that, say here's my birth list link, I'm going to close the anchor. Give a little bit of white space at the top there. I'm going to go up here and save this page. Come back to my interface. Go back to my About, Welcome, and I hopefully will have a link here at the top. Birth list link. So now I can click on that, and it'll take me to my link. And why doesn't that work? The reason that doesn't work is because I didn't enter in the right URL. Let's go back to our interface again. Let's go look at that URL. So I want to say, choose a different way to access my list. So I'm going to go Query Datasets. I'm going to say my saved queries. I'm going to go back here to this detail. Back down here to this sharing links, and I was using this link right here. The thing that I missed was its query definition. So I'm going to copy that. Well, I'll just copy the whole thing again. Copy, come back here to my editor, update this link here, paste that value that I had in there, and see this is the piece that I was missing. Save this file, come back over to my interface, go back to About, Welcome. Here's my link again here. You'll notice that it's blue, it hasn't been clicked on. And click on the link, and boom. There's my saved query definition list. I can do the same thing with a saved query definition. I can put this on any of my pages just by using the link, just like you would any other reference to a web resource. So I would say Query Datasets, my saved queries. Let's use this saved query here. We'll grab the result. So I'm going to come over here to this detailed definitions. Query definition sharing links. I want to do the run link here. So you'll notice here it has the user. So it's query, definition, result, the username. In this case, it's the system file that we're calling birth. And here's the name of the birth saved query that we defined. So I'm going to copy most of this URL up to here. Copy. We'll just keep it on our, we'll put it on the main welcome page just to make things easy. Copy this line here, paste it, and I lost my link, of course. But it just so happens that we can go back and get up. So I'm going to use the run one again. So I'm going to say query definition result birth1. Copy. Back to my editor, I'm going to paste that value in on this second link. Paste. So view, query definition result, birth1, and I'm going to say run birth1 query. Delete that, save the file, come back to my interface. Go back to About, Welcome. The second link here is Run Birth1 Query. I click on that and you'll see here that it's running the query. So that's how you do it. If you wanted to share some of these links, you can use the social media. I can show you how to log into a Twitter. You can log into your Twitter account, paste the link in there, tweet it out. People that follow you can then see your link and click on any of your saved query definitions. You can tweet out your new birth list link if you want, and people can see all of the birth queries that way. So you get the idea. Hope this video was helpful. Please feel free to let me know if you have any questions or need any help with this. And thanks for watching.